on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're continuing with the 32-team 7-round mock draft series with the LA Chargers. They hold the number 6 pick. They got some big-time questions. They're in a big-time transitionary year on the offensive side of the ball when their defense has never looked better. So before we get into that 7-round mock draft, we need to kind of look at the work that they did in free agency, how they've handled their offseason, and from that, get into the mock draft based upon what their team's needs are and how they should address it according to some Canadian asshole. So looking at the roster here on the offensive side of the ball, they decided to go with Austin Ekeler over Melvin Gordon. Think that that's a pretty good decision. And where does Melvin Gordon's holdout really rank next? It's right up there with Le'Veon Bell's holdout. It just didn't work out. And Austin Ekeler, who's a tremendous player, a great fit for a modern-day offense, guy that can straight up catch 120 balls at the backfield. I really think, if you could add in another running back in there to pair, which we will do during the draft, it's got to look pretty good. They got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. On the offensive line, they brought over Brian Bulaga from the Green Bay Packers. He can play left, he can play right side. Either way, that is a tremendous pickup, even though he is 30. They got Hunter Henry coming back on the tag. So look at the squad. Now, I don't watch a lot of Charger football, but I did rate and grade Forrest Lamp and Dan Feeney, both really highly coming out of college. So I don't really know if they're going to develop, but if they do, can they? They only really need a tackle. They're a tackle away from having a solid offensive line and a better offensive line, even with just the addition of Brian Bulaga and, what do you call it? Why is he not here? God, I'll go behind the scenes of how I'm making these rosters. Jeez. How dare we? They have actually finessed somehow. I guess this is definitely worth talking about because it's one of the most lopsided trades I have ever seen in my entire life. They sent Russell Okung, straight swap, a 30-year-old bang-on average tackle. They sent him and traded him to the Carolina Panthers for a 26-year-old. Is he a 2-time Pro Bowling guard? It is insanity that they got that kind of value. I think that's that trade there. Obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins trade is always going to just be simply insanity. But I think this might be the second most, that is a fleece trade that I have ever seen in my life. It's right out there. So, like I said, you could have Lamp, could develop as a tackle, and then you could have a solid offensive line. But either way, they definitely should plug and play at that O-line during the draft. Now they've come out and said they're going to go with Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback, which is a little bit interesting because even if I'm a Charger fan, and I do think Cam Newton is washed to a degree, I think Cam Newton would be worth it to bring into Cam and see if he had some competition. But I think there's a reason why Tyrod Taylor is announced to be their starter, and you'll see why once we get into the mock draft and why it makes sense. But look on the defense, this defense even better. There's an Linval Joseph at nose tackle. That's huge on that front four. We definitely need to see Jerry Tillery take another step. They brought in Chris Harris Jr. to pay with Casey Hayward and Desmond King. You got Derwin James the Beast, Nasir Adderley. They got Nick Vigil coming over from the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay tackler. It's a really good defense. I think when you're looking at the premier defenses in the AFC, they're top 3. They're absolutely top 3. Defenses that could be better. I mean, Denver made some moves for sure. You could look at Baltimore. They're always a solid team, but I think they're right in the mix for debatably the best defense in the AFC. I don't think when you look at the draft, they need to spend a lot of their top assets. How many defenders? I had them taking one guy on the defensive side of the ball in my mock draft, but that's their preview. I think they did a pretty good job during free agency, and now let's hop into the 7-round mock draft. So the Chargers are finally on the clock at pick 6 in the first round. Why are they selecting Justin Herbert, quarterback from Oregon, 6'6", 230 pounds. Prototypical in every sense of the word. Ticks off all the boxes of a height, weight, speed that you want in a modern-day quarterback. However, he does bring in inconsistent tape, but the good is very, very good. Still a quarterback that needs development, but he won't be rushed in LA with Tyrod Taylor there. And Tyrod Taylor has already done the stopgap quarterback between himself and Baker Mayfield during his time with the Cleveland Browns, which is a bonus, added value for Justin Herbert. But the weapons that the Chargers currently have is a perfect landing spot for a guy like Justin Herbert. You got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Ekeler, Hunter Henry for a year. Offensive line, they went out and got Brian Bulaga and Trey Turner, so it's much improved. It is a terrific landing spot. I think out of all the places that are going to be looking for a quarterback, LA is where you want to go. As long as the Chargers continue to invest in the offensive line with some of the picks that we have in this draft. Justin Herbert, the arm strength, the mobility. If you look at what Daniel Jones did last season for the New York Giants, Justin Herbert is a better version of that. And I think most teams that are needing a quarterback would see the positives of what Daniel Jones did with the Giants and say, you know what? I wouldn't mind that at quarterback. I wouldn't mind the potential that brings at quarterback. And that's exactly what you're going to get by selecting Justin Herbert. Going to the second round at pick 37, I was selecting Jalen Reagor, wide receiver from TCU, 5'11", 195 pounds. He hurt his stock with a good but not great combine. He had a 4.47, 42-inch vertical. We knew he was explosive. There's people saying that he's going to run the 4.2s and stuff like that, which, I mean, if you look at his tape, I expected him definitely to run faster than expected, but how much stock you really? He's fast. He might not be 4.2 fast, but he's fast enough to still win consistently on vertical routes in the NFL. And I think that he's a good value here in round 2. He's explosive. He's an outside runner who definitely can excel with some yards after the catch inside the slot. So he's versatile. And I look at the depth chart. You look at what was going out for the Chargers. You kind of had Travis Benjamin as that guy that was there. Let's take a shot. And a guy in Jalen Reagor is already an immediate upgrade next season over that. And a wide receiver core of Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Jalen Reagor for Justin Herbert whenever he's ready. That's pretty damn good. Going to the third round at pick 71, I was selecting Trey Adams, offensive tackle from Washington, 6'8", 315 pounds. The medical is absolutely huge. Trey Adams is a guy who essentially has hurt himself out of top 15 pick consideration over the last 2 years. He has missed a lot of time, but when he is in there healthy, he is one of the better tackles. I think he's a top 5 tackle in this year's draft class still. But obviously, like when we talk about players like Tua Tagovailoa, maybe Grant Delpit, their status in this draft is going to be indicative of if they can pass the medicals. And with the coronavirus and all the limited amount of interviews and bringing guys in the building that NFL teams has, it's going to hurt some of these players. So I think Trey Adams in the third round is well worth the risk, because if it pans out, you're going to be getting yourself a starting tackle at pick 71. And when you're a team like the Chargers that has struggled finding suitable offensive linemen on any spot, a guy like Trey Adams is well worth the risk. He kind of reminds me of Orlando Brown Jr. Remember when he had like the worst combine of all time, even though he's billed as a first rounder? Ended up going, what was he, third, fourth round to the Baltimore Ravens. Now he's a starting tackle. I kind of get that vibe with Trey Adams. And really, when you look at him, it's a perception versus tape kind of scenario. And I think in the third round, a team's going to gamble on him. And if it works out, you're going to be getting insane value. Going to the fourth round at pick 112, I was selecting Ben Bredeson, offensive guard for Michigan, 6'5", 315 pounds, a very, very powerful player who I think could come in and compete for one of the guard spots opposed Trey Turner. You got Dan Feeney, who I actually liked when he was coming out of Indiana. You got Forrest Lamp. I think obviously I haven't been watching these guys develop, but hopefully maybe Forrest Lamp can develop as your right tackle. So then, or even a swing tackle. So then you got, ideally, guard competition, Ben Bredeson, Trey Turner at guard, you got Pouncey at center, and then you can have a combination of Brian Bulaga, obviously will lock down one of the tackle spots, and then Forrest Lamp and Trey Adams if these picks start to pan out. But I think Ben Bredeson could come in and have immediate open competition for one of the guard spots. He has a modest ceiling, but a very high floor player who can be a building block for the offensive line for the next 5 years. He's a guy that I don't necessarily think is going to be a perennial All-Pro, even though he looked pretty good at tape at Michigan. He was a road grader, but he's a guy there's no way he's going to suck. He's got to stick around on a roster. And I think even just average linemen would go a long way and be an upgrade for the Chargers, looking at what they put out the last couple of years when Phillip Rivers was under center. Going to the fifth round at pick 151, I was selecting Harrison Bryant, tight end from Florida Atlantic University, 6'5", 240 pounds, the 2019 Mackey Award winner, which goes to the best tight end in college football. When you look at the tight end position, they got Hunter Henry on attack. He's playing on a one-year deal, so the future is kind of uncertain there at the tight end spot for the Chargers, and I think a guy like Harrison Bryant has upside to develop into an NFL starter. He had a great career, over 150 catches, 2,100 yards, and 16 touchdowns at Florida Atlantic, and he has a well-rounded skill set to continue and contribute immediately. Great hands, underrated blocker, solid athlete, looked good on the drills during the combine. I think there's a lot to like about Harrison Bryant, and he comes in this year to be a tight end 2 behind Hunter Henry, and then if things go sour on a Hunter Henry contract or Harrison Bryant looks good enough, you kind of get out of that contract next season. Pick 6, 186. I was selecting LaMichael Pirine, running back from Florida, 5'11", 210 pounds. As a Gator fan, I can tell you he's going to be a day 3 value at the running back spot. Does not fumble the ball. A good combination of power and underrated receiving ability. You look at his tape, he's a power back, but he had 40 catches last year for the Gators. Smooth hands. Obviously doesn't run a crazy route for anything like that, but out the backfield, it's simple enough that he could spell Austin Eckler and not make it a clear, oh, well, Austin Eckler's coming out, they're not going to throw it. You can still have that threat when P-Ryan's on the field, but more so a power back complement, and I think a slight upgrade over Justin Jackson to be the running back 2 there. He's a value pick who complements Austin Eckler, and I think running back 2 potential as a rookie. And then finishing up in the 7th round at pick 220, I have the Chargers finishing up their draft with Graylin Arnold, defensive back from Baylor, 5'9", 190 pounds. He's a versatile player. He can play nickel. He can play free safety. He kind of fits the build of what a defensive back. The Chargers generally get, outside of Derwin James, smaller defensive backs. They got Desmond King, under 6 feet tall. Chris Harris, under 6 feet tall. Casey Hayward, under 6 feet tall. So it's kind of the style, and it's been working for them. They've one of the best secondaries in the NFL. And I think Arnold is just going to, a little bit younger option. You can fuse some youth into that secondary. He had a massive 2019 for Baylor, 45 tackles and 6 interceptions. And I think in the 7th round, getting a guy that can come in, chip on special teams, fits what you look for and how you build your secondary, it's all good things for the Chargers. And ultimately, when I'm sitting back and looking at it so far, this might be my favorite mock draft that I have come up with for any team. It's still early. We've only done 6, but I really do think if the Chargers pull off a draft like this, they're going to be set for the next couple years, as well as be competitive because they do have a team that's almost in a win-now mode, just a quarterback away. So let me know what you guys feel about this draft in the comment section below. I definitely want to feel how Charger fans feel about Justin Herbert as a quarterback. Do you want Jordan Love instead? Would you want to try to trade up and get a Tua? Let's be as honest, you're not getting Joe Burrow. But let me know in the comment section below. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.